to start off, what social media tools do you use now? Anything from email, and you've got a nice website. What else do you use, and do you find that works for you quite well?
Of course, email, that's still the big king. Whenever you're doing anything like, something group, where you have to send a group thing out, for example, we're just having new officers come on board. A third of them are changeover every year. And so every summer we elect new ones. And so last Sunday they were all elected. And so there are 6 new elders and 7 new deacons coming on board. And then some youth deacons and youth elders as well. So I just send out a group email to them all, and it hits them all at the same time with the same message, and then they get back to me individually and whether they can make the training on this date or that date, what one is better for them. So yeah, emails are huge for kind of the day-to-day business of the organization. But when you're trying to reach out beyond the walls of your church, you gotta go beyond email. The website itself, that's huge in terms of that's your face in the community. So if you don't have a good, what all the churches know now is, if you're going to be taken seriously by the community, you better have a good face, have a good website. And so we paid someone to come and redo our website about a year and a half or 2 years ago, and he maintains it as well for us, and that's been helpful. So I think most churches know that's what people look for first. Like my son, for example, when he went online, I told him, you need to find a church, because he wanted to get the kids baptized. I said, well, you need to get a church, because that's what I say to everybody. And so he went online and he found a church, and he said there were all old people in there. Didn't look like the kind of church I would be excited about. Didn't see any kids. So I went to another church, and he found one that he liked in Kingston, and he's been going there. So that was his introduction, their website. That's their first face to the community. So every church is doing that. We're also into Facebook here. If you go online to our website, you'll see our Facebook is on the front page there as well. And kind of the day-to-day way that we connect with the rest of the community is through Facebook. We used to have a college and careers Facebook and a youth Facebook and a church Facebook, and we realized that's too much to keep going. And we really don't want to diversify like that anyway. We don't want to have kind of different faces. We want to just have one face. So we've gone back to just one Facebook page for the church. And I'm always sending photos. Mostly I just send photos because I think Facebook is really kind of be photo-driven. I send those to the person and she puts them on for us all the time. And anything that's going on in the church. You want people to know that your church is active. So things are going on there. It's a happening place.
How many people are in your congregation?
Well, we have a membership of about 500, okay. But we only see on an average Sunday. I mean, this time of year, so even quieter. But I would say average is between 150 and 170 on a Sunday.
How do you deal with communicating with kind of the older members of the congregation that may not have computers?
Well, a lot of them do have computers. You'd be surprised. It's not. It's kind of hit and miss with the seniors, but some of them are right into it and some of them are right out of it. So our day-to-day, or our ongoing communicate with the congregation is through what we call the lectern, which is our every month we put out, at the beginning of the month, we put out kind of what's happening that month in the life of the church. And so there's a hard copy for those who don't have, who request that. But we're really pushing e-lectern, so you can get the same thing electronically. And more of our people now are on the e-lectern than they are on the lectern. We've got a way back on the paper that we have to produce now.
So that's a real positive, going kind of transitioning from, I mean, you've been a minister for many years now, and
yeah.
You've seen that transition. So it's actually saving money by using these social media tools. Is that safe to say?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, we used to have everybody receive the lectern until maybe 5 years ago or 6 years ago. And then we said, why are we doing this? And we would, duplicate it. Some people would get the e-lectern and the lectern. And we said, well, why are we duplicating? It should be either or. And so people are preferring the e-lectern now. So there's been a shift in society to want to read things on their smartphones. I think the smartphone is really transforming the way people get their information. It's portable. You see, it comes with them, and they can get it any time. And the other thing that we do with those who have the smartphone is they can get what we call e-alerts. So if there's something going on a Sunday, it may be in the e-lectern or the lectern that they've already read, but people forget. And so now we send out e-alerts on a Thursday, and we'll say, don't forget on Sunday we're having a luncheon, or don't forget that there's communion on Sunday, or whatever. So it's a way of getting information out week by week.
And to do that, 20 years ago, to remind people, what would you have had to have done to remind people about an event, and versus using this e-alert?
Well, not even 25 years ago. I would say even just 10 years ago, they had the phone tree. So in other words, I would phone somebody, and then they would phone several people, and then those people would phone people. And it was kind of a cumbersome way of getting word around to everybody. But the phone really doesn't work anymore because you only get answering machines. People don't pick up. Very rarely do they pick up. I would say it's 1 in every 4 or 5 people that will pick up the phone and actually talk to you. They all let it go to answer. And so the phone tree is just kind of obsolete now.
In a very short period of time.
Yeah, it didn't take long for it to disappear. We don't use it too often at all now. Just on an individual basis, of course.
So, Bill, is there anything else besides Facebook, your e-alerts, which is great, your email, website? Are there any other tools that you use?
Well, the youth have transitioned away from all of those things.
Oh.
And they're into texting now. And so if you talk to Caleb, the associate pastor who looks after the youth ministry program, he's got everybody's phone number. And what he's done is he'll send group texts every week, and say, don't forget, on Sunday night we're going to do this, or on Sunday afternoon we're going to go here or there or whatever. And he says that's the only way I can get their attention is through texting. And then he can individually text them as well. So.
But again, another form that has transitioned over the years from a very labor-intensive task to something that can be done instantly with a few presses of a button.
Yeah, you've got to have the information available to you. And that was one of the things that he found was difficult to do, because youth will give their phone numbers out to all their friends, but they don't give them out to adults generally. And he says that it was harder for him because he's an adult, getting all of that information from them, but they all understand it. He's the youth leader, and he needs to get a hold of them. So every parent knows that if you want to get a hold of your kid, you text them. You don't email them. Even Facebooking is kind of iffy.
So with so much social media out there and so many tools and options, how do you keep up with it? Or are you keeping up with it? Are you kind of happy with what you have now and are just going to continue that, or are you looking at other opportunities as these growing trends continue?
You got to keep up with it. It's either that or you're going to die on the vine. So, the digital era is here to stay, and that's the way people are getting their information now is digitally. And all the kids that are coming up the pipe, the young families that we want, and their children, they're all digital natives to this stuff. We're all learning it. You and I are learning this stuff, but they're native to it. They've been raised with it, with smartphones, and they almost know it intuitively. So you've got to keep up with it and keep learning about it. And it's one of the things our presbytery, which is kind of a geographical area of about 40 different Presbyterian churches, it's one of their jobs is to help us to keep up digitally. They realize that it's important. So they're becoming a bit of a hub for us. For example, about 2 weeks ago, I was over at the Presbytery office for our first ever live broadcast of a um, I guess it was a workshop, a 3-day workshop on on the digital era and how it's impacting the church. And you could take different workshops. They were all live at different times. You could just show up at the office, and it cost $10 for 3 days, and you come and take as much of it as you want. And so I went over and took a few of those courses, and apparently they're all going to be available to us in recording at some point as well, so that we can see the ones that we didn't see. So they're taking that initiative for us, which is great. And one of the ones that I took was on how the problem with Sunday school. Sunday school is going defunct in the churches. Kids aren't coming to Sunday school, and adults aren't coming to Sunday school in the same way. And this one professor, this was all streamed to us from a workshop that you could have taken for $350 up in near Washington, in Alexandria. And this fellow has been talking about the importance of putting education online, going online with church education, and actually allowing people to go to actually setting up a website, because you don't have to create your own stuff even. There's stuff out there that all you need to be is the one that decides what's good and what isn't, and to have it on on your website, but it's all copyright because it's not actually on your website. It's just a link to your website. So we're in we thought that was fascinating, and so we're in the throes right now of setting up, getting this fellow that set up our website to set up an additional website. That's what the guy suggests you do. That will be our library. You can go to the library and click on, the first one we're doing is a set of TED Talks that have been put to kind of into Sunday school lessons. And so Carrie's working on that with Shay to make that our first actual book or curriculum online.
This all kind of leads to my final question, Bill, and that is, what do you think is in the future for social media?
Well, I mean, I think that we're going to be relating more and more digitally, this way. Maybe even in kind of groups. Maybe it'll be more of a kind of a group thing where all groups will come together. Some people are having meetings that way, where it's already available, where you can meet with as many as maybe 50 people. It's a little confusing with that many people all talking, but you can have them all kind of come in, and then all of their pictures are on your screen, and you can have a meeting that way. It's probably better when just one or two people are doing the talking when that happens, but for long distances, if you're having something that's important to bring in people from long distances, that's certainly an option. This morning at our meeting, our general presbyter couldn't be there because her sister is sick in Atlanta, so she was in Atlanta. And we were going to Skype her in to our meeting. So she'd be there as a little screen sitting at the table with us. But she didn't have her smartphone with us, so she just phoned us, and we kind of just took the phone off the hook and had it on open mic, and she could talk with us. But she did it for the whole 2 hours of our meeting. So yeah, social media is a tool, and it's being used in as many ways as people can imagine them being helpful. And one of the ways, of course, is geography. And I think for social media is good news for smaller churches, because they can borrow stuff on the internet and look like a big church if they want to put the money into a website or into a library, etc. It's not that hard to do. Anybody can do it.
Yeah. Well, that's great, Bill. Well, thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate it. And what is the weather like down there in Newport News?
It was scorching hot today. It's I think 92, but it's going to feel like 100.
Thanks again, Bill. Really appreciate your time.
All right. Good luck with this.